Welcome back. Cancer Val loves you, as always. Today I'm going to be talking about chemotherapy. My first chemo treatment. Um, I didn't have, I haven't had as yet radiation, so my area of focus is chemotherapy because that's all I know for right now. All right, if I get to the point of having radiation, I'll talk about it in another video. So the appointment was made for my first chemotherapy. I'd had my PET scan and my CT scan, um, and chemo was the first chemo was crazy. It was in my mind it was crazy, because it was nothing I knew anything about. I didn't know how it happened. I don't know what happened. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how it helped. I just didn't know anything. I was dumb, dumb about chemo. So the cancer center that I'm going to is fabulous. Okay, just a, they just have wonderful people. They're very efficient. Um, they care. They follow up. They have a process that's very organized, and I'm just grateful. Some of the things that have happened to me during this process have been wonderful things, truly wonderful things. So the chemo appointment was at 7 a.m. on a Friday in, I want to say, February. It must have been February. Let's see, February, March, April, May, June. Maybe it was in January. Maybe it was at the end of January. I can't remember now. But my friend of 30 years, who errs on the side of being a little too much sometimes, I have to be honest, and we've had these conversations, so when she watches this she'll understand, was very kind and insistent that I stayed with her. Now, this particular friend is very knowledgeable about cancer. Several of her family members had been through it, and she was, my expert kind of. She's sort of an analytical person. She likes research. She likes medical stuff, and she had the exposure and knowledge level that gave her insights that were welcoming to me because I knew nothing, right? And but the other part of it was she was really awesome and kind and insistent that I stayed with her. And me knowing nothing, said sure, because I didn't know what to expect. So we went at 7 a.m. We were both there, and the treatment was being administered through an IV. So, and it's a series of bags of stuff that they insert in you. One of them is Benadryl, and it does something, and then it's the chemo treatment, and then it's something else, and and I don't know all of it. All the drugs. That bit is sort of elusive to me, and I've gone through it 5 times, and I still don't know enough about it. But you have a bag. You're in a station, and you sit there for three hours. Well, first of all, what they do is they take a blood profile. So they take your blood, and they see if your blood is in a good place for you to have treatment, because your blood has to, all the hemoglobin, the white blood cells, and the platelets and all of that have to be in a certain range for you to even have chemo. So excuse me, I'm gonna just wipe my nose real quick. So So they take your blood, and within an hour you get your results, and then they start the the drip, the drips that you're gonna have. And the Benadryl makes you feel kind of tired, sleepy, and then they give you the chemo stuff and the chemo drugs, and then they give you the last thing, and I don't know what, I can't remember what the last thing does, but that was the protocol that I was on, right? Other people might have different stuff, um, but the whole thing, waiting for the blood and all of that, it's about 4 hours. It takes a while, and you're sitting there. So if you're going to go to chemo, take your devices with you, take a book. Um, for the first part of it, you're really going to be tired and groggy if you're on the Benadryl. So you're sort of going to be out of it for a while. I was lucky; my friend was with me, and she talked to me, and she kept me semi-alert through the whole thing. And this particular friend, she has gone with me to all my chemo treatments. I have another friend that drops me off because I can't drive, so you won't be able to drive, right? So you need your village to take you to your treatments, or an Uber driver, or the Cancer Society has volunteers that do rides. All right, so if you need a ride, set that up for yourself with the Cancer Society ahead of time. Um, so and be there on time, because it's a very long day. It's a very long process. And basically, after you do all of this, you're going to be wiped out. All right, the chemo does a number on your body where you just can't function for several days. And there are other symptoms that go along with that, but essentially, um, you've got to get ready for those 3 or 4 days where you're totally out of it. And it might be longer than that for the first few rounds, all right? So the first few rounds, I was really knocked out, all right? I just was unable to do anything. I was tired, really, really tired. I didn't want to eat anything. I had no appetite for anything. And so I'll go into a bit of that afterwards. So anyway, my friend was with me. Um, we did all the intravenous things, and then she took me to her house. And then basically, I was in bed. I was in bed for 2 or 3 days. I can't remember now. It must have been, I think, 3 days. And she was there every few minutes, bringing me food, asking me what I wanted to eat, making sure I drank water, because when the chemicals are inside you, and you want to release those chemicals, and water is very good for that. So drink a lot of water. All right, so make sure you have, and I'm not talking 1 or 2 glasses, you want to drink at least a gallon or more of water a day. All right, get all of those fluids working, and get those chemicals out of your system. The quicker you do that, the quicker you'll be in a place where you can help yourself more, right? I don't want to say 100%, but you, particularly in the beginning, because you still have the cancer symptoms, all right? So you're going to be working off the cancer symptoms, and you're going to be working off the cancer drugs, all right? So you've got all of this stuff going on physically. So the first few days, my friend was bringing me, bananas, making whatever food I could take down. And in the first few days, the only thing that I could take down personally was some oatmeal. I found these frozen tamales where I could have half a tamale and some salsa, and that was just too much food. Really, it was just, and after a while, it wasn't tasty anymore. Initially it was okay, but as the days wore off, it wasn't a meal that I enjoyed anymore. She made me, I think, a sandwich at one point, but it was just too much food. You just don't want it. And Another symptom of the chemo is nausea, because all of those chemicals are going to do a number on your tummy, all right, on your intestines, and you're not going to be able to keep stuff down. They prescribe nausea medication. So how I took it, or how I learned how to take it, was I took it with the food. Okay, I didn't take it before, I didn't take it after. I took it immediately after I had eaten, and that helped. All right, that doesn't mean you're not going to throw up everything that you've eaten. It doesn't mean you're going to you know be able to maintain your nutrition levels. It doesn't mean anything like that. It's just helpful. All right, so get your prescriptions, whatever the doctor prescribes that you take for your aftercare. Make sure you have your prescriptions ready to go, so you have them when you're done with chemo. Another thing that I had in the first 2 rounds of chemo was I had a plastic tub next to my bed, all right, because the nausea just comes on all of a sudden, and you can't control it, all right. So and it's icky, and it's uncomfortable, and you don't feel good, and it's sickening in itself, right? So having that tub by my bedside was really important, because I would want to throw up, and sometimes it wasn't time to run to a sink, all right. And it was unexpected, right? Because I didn't know what was going to happen. And the first time it happened, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. And that's why I didn't want to eat, because it was all going to come up anyway. At the time, that's what I thought. So even something as ridiculous as a half a banana was unappetizing, and a food that was questionable as far as whether I could keep it down or not. So, but you do have to eat, and you do have to find things that you can tolerate, that taste good in the moment. Things, cereal was a big thing for me, and after the first 3 rounds of chemo, that was all I could eat for the first few days, was cereal and soy milk. So that was something that I had on hand. And you also don't want to do a lot of sugar, because that's not good for the cancer. So and I'm a big sugar person. I love chocolate, and I love candies, and I love sweet things. So that was really hard for me. So I had to get cereals that were not so sweet. So my friend was there, got through the 3 days, and after the 3rd day, I really wanted to get home. I just felt very uncomfortable being there, because I was having all of these physical things happening to me, and I felt, as a human person, uncomfortable. All right, because I wasn't at home. I wasn't in my space, private. I didn't have privacy to go through these physical challenges. So the chemotherapy is very debilitating and tiring. So I was tired. So in between, when my friend would come in and bring me food, I was sleeping the whole time. The first two rounds, okay. I was totally out, physically tired, physically exhausted, physically unable to do anything except go to the bathroom and relieve myself, right? So another few things that you might experience is constipation, all right? And I have had constipation, all right? And I'm going to do another video about that, because I found some ways to alleviate some of that, because the drugs are really hard on your system. Plus, it's killing everything, right? It's killing all the bacteria. So you want to, so part of that is your fecal system is disabled in many ways. What you could eat before, uh, you might not be able to eat while you're going through chemo, or until your body revives and readjusts itself. So, so chemotherapy is hard, and you're going to need help to get around. All right, so that's the three or four basic things. First of all, you're going to be impaired. Okay, you're going to be tired, exhausted, and physically out of it. So you're not going to be able to drive. So you need people to drive you around. You know, in this day of Ubers might be a good thing, right? You got the Cancer Society with volunteers, and you got your friends, your village, all right? So arrange for your pickups and your drop-offs and all of that. Second thing, on that first round of chemo, if you know nothing about chemo, stay with someone, all right? Stay with someone who's going to be around to watch you, all right? And that's the other thing, is it's dangerous. So you need somebody to watch over you, you know, make sure you're okay. And my friend did that for me. The other thing is you're going to have physical symptoms, nausea, constipation, being tired, all right? And it's not going to be 1 or 2 hours, it's going to be days of feeling just out of it. And not being in a position to help yourself, all right? So, so those are and also the nausea is also just to set yourself up with meals or things that you think you can eat, because what you think you can eat, you might not be able to eat. You might not want to eat it. You might not have any taste for anything. This is not sort of a spaghetti and meatballs type of event where you can have, or Mexican fare, or, you know, getting a TV dinner out of the freezer. Those things you might not even want to look at. And that's not even talking about preparing them or getting them delivered or anything like that. They just might be off the menu for you for as long as it takes for you to physically feel a bit better, all right? So the chemo, the first couple, 3 rounds for me were very hard. The doctor, the gynecologist that I met in December, before my biopsies, had prescribed prescription pain relievers. So after I ate, I was taking minimally Tylenol with codeine once or twice, maybe 3 times a day. And that really helped with my digestive pain, because remember, I had that digestive pain, I still had it, and it didn't go away for a long time. And the other thing that was prescribed was ibuprofen 600, so it was a prescription. So I was taking a combination of different painkillers at the time to relieve the symptoms of the cancer that I already had. So as of now, I'm not on any painkillers. So I managed to stop taking them. And some of the digestive, you know, doubling over with pain in the fetal position pain that I had before, that went away after like the 3rd chemo. So that was a symptom specifically specific to me. So, but it was symptomatic of the tumor and the location of where it was in the cervix. So maybe it was pressing on the intestines in some way that caused the discomfort. I don't know. But eventually that pain changed. I got new symptoms, you know, constipation. But that pain went away, and I was you know, digesting in a different way. I don't want to call it normal. So that's the end of my chemo video. As I said at some point in this video montage, I'm on I'm on chemo 5 of 6. So I will tell you more about everything else as we go along. So see you next time. Cancer Val loves you. See you next time. Bye.